Hi you guys, it's Karen with Love Your Land. Is it cold enough for you? We had this fantastic fall here, like super fantastic. It's the best fall that I've experienced here in Northern Colorado since I've lived here. It's been about 9 years. Just beautiful, 70s, and just lovely. And then this week it just went, just kidding, and turned into like the polar vortex. But it always does this. It always, eventually turns into fall and winter and all that. And so every year, when the growing season ends, I'm kind of bummed. I've been doing better with it though. I'm figuring out ways to make it less of a bummer for me. And the biggest thing is every year I try to find something to sort of fill the gap, sort of close in that off season for me so I don't have that much time where I'm not growing something. Of course I have house plants. They don't do it for me. I don't know why. They just kind of sit there and they don't really have a plan and they're not really doing anything. So, like I start my tomatoes and peppers, for example, in the house, in the winter. And I love that because they're just so active. You start from this little seed and dirt and they grow and grow and grow, and then they have little flowers, and then you might even have some fruit inside if you pollinate them. And that's what I love. So, but it's even a little too early for me to be planting or starting seed for tomatoes and peppers and basil and stuff. Well, maybe not basil. Basil, I am going to start that pretty soon here. But anyway, I want to, I'm adding something to my little, make it not so sad repertoire for myself. So this year I'm going to grow Paperwhites. I've never grown them before, but all they need are, by the way, they're flowers, long green stems and these beautiful white fragrant flowers. And all they need to grow is light and water. That's it. So I figured, why not? So what you want to do, this is how I'm going to do it this year. And you can actually do it a few different ways, like anything. But this bulb is going to send out these stems, and they're going to be very long stems, and they tend to fall over, especially when they get their flower. They're going to be a little top heavy, and they're also going to be reaching towards the light, again, as any plant would. So what I'm going to do is plant them in these tall vases, so the stems will be supported. And I think they're going to make fantastic centerpieces for, Thanksgiving, my Thanksgiving table too, but definitely Christmas. So what you want to do is take your tall vase, if you want to try this method, and you're going to fill this bottom part with gravel. Or when I was buying these, there was a little lady behind me and she said, "Excuse me, can I tell you what I do?" And I'm like, "Sure." She uses cranberries. Yep. So I'm going to use cranberries because I think that's just like the most adorable idea ever. So instead of gravel, I'm going to put some cranberries in there. And I just bought a bag of cranberries from the store, kept them in my freezer until I was ready to do this. And now I'm ready to do it. So you throw your cranberries in there. Maybe don't throw them, but get them in there. And, funny thing is, I remember, I'm drawing a blank why you want the gravel. I think it just keeps the roots, gives them something to instead of just being completely soaked. But I don't remember if that's the reason why. It doesn't matter. I'll post a follow-up to this. I will. Every video I post, I'm like, oh, I forgot something and I have to follow it up. Anyway, so you're going to put your cranberries or your gravel in there, whatever you want to put in. That's actually enough, just a couple of inches. That's a little more than a couple, but that's okay. Then you want to add some water. Yes, my watering jug things are in the shed because I don't even water my houseplants with them. I just use cups of water. I'm a bad plant owner. And then you're going to want to put your bulb in there. And just like with garlic or any other bulb, you plant the flat side. That's where the roots are going to come out. And it's kind of obvious when they're in this stage because this is green. So this is where the stems are going to come out. So you place that in there with the flat part down. My phone's ringing. Who could that be? And what's important is you don't want your bulb to be sitting in the water because they'll rot. So we're just going to put water right just to the bottom of it. That's plenty. It's barely touching the bottom of it. Just to double check. Yep, it's just barely touching the bottom. And so it's going to start rooting, and it's going to root into this water, and then the green stems are going to come up and it's going to flower. So there's the first one. We'll do one more, and then I can show you one other method of this. So like, how easy is this? And by the way, the other thing, I bought a lot here. I only have 2 vases, but you'll see why in a second. First of all, you know, these are going to bloom, by the way, in about 4 weeks, give or take. It could be 6. I'm thinking 4 because they've already sprouted. But so then after, I think I read a couple times, I think it's like a couple of weeks, the flowers are gonna die off. So then you take your bulb out, compost it, and then you can plant some more. So you do succession planting with your Paperwhites. Just keep you all happy and watching something actively growing when it's 12 outside. It's so cold outside. Oops. Okay, I think that's good. That's good enough. So obviously you're going to want to check these periodically and make sure that the water is still in there. It hasn't evaporated. It's not going to evaporate too quickly because you kind of have closed off the opening with the bulb. These are going to be placed in a sunny window, and you're going to be happy. Now, if they hadn't already sprouted, I would not be putting them in a sunny window for about a week. I'd be actually putting them in my basement where there's some natural light, but it's not direct sunlight, and it's colder, obviously, my basement. So if you don't have greens, if they haven't sprouted yet, you're going to want to keep them for about a week out of direct sunlight and in a cooler environment. So that's the water method. The other method, this is going to be so cool when these bloom. I'm so excited. The other method, before I do that, let me get this soil going, is planting them in soil in a shallow bulb dish. So what I've seen done, you can do this and then water them, but I like the idea of watering the soil first so that you know that it's evenly, that the moisture is pretty even in there. Sorry if I splashed you. And I should probably not have my wedding ring and watch on, but it's okay. It's not like this is the first time I have done this with dirt with my jewelry on. So you don't want it to be soaking wet, but just sort of thoroughly moistened. And oh my God, that smells so good. Oh, I love the smell of fresh potting soil in my house in winter. My family cracks up at me because I just like it so crazy. And this, by the way, is just sterile soil. It's not, doesn't have anything in it, no nutrients or anything. I do see a little gnat coming out of it. I'm not real happy about that, but I'm not going to worry about it too much because these are kind of a short-lived thing. Shh, don't tell them. But if this were, just as a side note, if this were my, if I were starting seeds from this soil and I saw that, I would take this back and I would say, give me a new batch. Because if there's bugs in your soil, if you start out with bugs in your soil, this has never happened to me. This particular garden center that I got the soil from, I've never had that happen. I've always had really, really good sterile soil from them. And they bake it themselves. They really do. So this method with a bulb tray, what's cool about this is you can put a bunch more bulbs in there. So this is going to end up being a whole, you can put them all right next to each other, and it's going to be a whole big, huge pot of the Paperwhites. So I'm going to rinse my hands off. No, I'm not. Why bother? I felt the need. Like, you guys don't want to see my dirty hands, but who cares? So I'm going to place these in here. I know you can kind of sort of see, but not really. I'll show you up close in a second. You want to put these shoots kind of curl, kind of hook. And so if you're putting them next to each other, you don't want to put them like this or like this. You kind of want to put them going the same direction so that they're a little more, not all haphazard, and they're growing more uniformly straight up. And also, I'm suggesting you plant them aiming towards the center because, again, they're going to kind of lean towards the light. So let's see, how many do I have in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's an 8th. I'll put in a few more in the middle. You stay put. These guys are going straight up, so I'm going to put the straight up ones in the middle. The other ones are kind of all curving towards the center. Okay, so I have them all in there. I'll show you. I'll have to clean this bowl off now. I have them all in there. Now I'm going to add just a little more soil to kind of anchor them down and make a mess on my counter. Because one thing to know about this method, the bulb dish method, I think it's called. Not method, but if you use a bulb dish. If it's too shallow, the roots will actually push the bulbs up out of the whole situation and basically commit bulb suicide. So they definitely have to have enough room to set roots and have those roots have enough space. So now I'm going to wash my hands off. 1 second. So, same thing with this. This is the same situation here. You're going to want to put these in a sunny window. Again, if they had not sprouted, I would be putting all 3 of these down in the basement to chill out for about a week, and then I would bring them up and put them in my south-facing window. But since these are all sprouted, I'm going to go ahead and put them right over there and watch what happens. So, pretty easy. If you have any questions, I doubt you will, but if you have any questions, feel free to post a comment below or preferably on Facebook. It's a little easier to communicate in Facebook than on YouTube. But what I'm going to do is I will show you once these have all sprouted. I'll show you some progress, maybe some pictures on Facebook, but definitely I'll show you the end result. So that's it. Just about every nursery, by the way, has them. Sorry. So this is the time of year to go grab some. They're pretty cheap. And that's it. Also, if you have any other, if you have a tricky, cool, crafty idea for different things to grow them in or whatever, make a suggestion. I was kind of wondering if maybe a beta, those beta fighting fish, it would have to be a bigger bowl than this, or vase. It'd have to be like about that big. But that could be cool too, because then the fish is gonna poop and feed the bulb. I don't know, that's just a theory, but that's another idea that I had. So I might do that at some point. Anyway, for now, there's your Paperwhite starting instructions, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.